I want to take this chance to thank you once again for coming. You know, unaweza invite watu na watakatae kichwa mwito, si ndio? So we are so grateful that you have sacrificed your time to come here. And I want us to take this chance for one of us to volunteer and just lead us with a worship prayer. Thank you. Hillary?
Oh.
Hillary. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Let's bow our heads for the word of prayer. Dear Lord, as we come, I come for this reflection. We thank you for the gift of life. Dear Lord, as we start our function, may you be with us, protect us, and keep us. In Jesus' name, I do pray. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Hillary, for leading us with the word of prayer. And kindly, let's observe the COVID-19 rules, very important. Just beneath you is a bottle of water. If you feel you need to quench your thirst, kindly stretch down and get a bottle of water. If you're done with it, we still have more for you guys. Now I want us to do a bit of introduction. And this introduction, we're going to do it this way. Name the fruit that starts, the first letter starts with your name. I've said my name is? Thank you. My name is Margaret. So, since I'm Margaret, my name is Margaret Wambere Ndwati, and I love melon. Thank you for the appreciation. Thank you so much. So this is how you're going to start. Kindly introduce yourself, tell us where you come from, and the fruit that you like.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Geoffrey Cheng, and I come from Thika. And fruit I love is grapes. Thank you.
Let's appreciate him. Thank you. He has said, what is his name? Geoffrey. Sorry? Geoffrey. Geoffrey, right? And he loves grapes. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Stephen Omolo from Baker Medical. I love melons too.
You love melon?
Yes.
All right. Stephen, do you have a fruit that starts with an S? Sorry? Cassava?
Strawberry.
Strawberry, right? Yeah, thank you, Steve. Let's just appreciate Steve. Good. Next.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Atieno, and the fruit I love is apple.
She loves an apple. And what's her name?
Atieno.
What's her name? I can hear Jacqueline, I can hear what? Atieno. Okay, and she loves which fruit? Which fruit does she love?
Apple.
Oh, wow, apples. Lovely dinner. Afternoon. Wow. Linda Anyonyi, she loves lemons. Let's appreciate her. Good. At the back.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Miss Wanjiro, and I love mangoes.
Mangoes. Anjiro with mangoes. Let's appreciate her. Good. At the back. Afternoon. Kindly, let's be audible enough. Despite the mask. Nice. Wow. Banana. Samuel, and he loves taking bananas. Good. Afternoon. She loves mangoes. Modani loves mangoes. Good.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Mr. Wanjove. Banai.
Fruit gani inaanzanga na E? Eggplant. All right, a fruit and a vegetable. Okay. Right. Let's appreciate her. Good.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Anne Mutua. I love apples.
Anne Mutua, and she loves apples. Good. Appreciate her. Actually, I'm sure you appreciate. Thank you. Jambo. Umesikia boss?
Naitwa Philip Sami.
Yeye anaitwa Philip na anapenda pineapples. Twende hapa. Good.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
My name is Calvin Kavuta. I don't love coconut, but my name starts with coconut.
Okay, she's Caroline, right? Let's appreciate her. Awesome.
Good afternoon.
Awesome.
My name is Caroline Yereti and I love cherries.
Cherries. Oh, nice.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Chepkemoi Ngeno. I like oranges.
Chepke what?
Chepkemoi.
Chepkemoi. Let's appreciate her. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Milka Dion. I love mangoes.
Mary loves mangoes. Awesome. Next.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Dorothy Were. I love oranges.
She's who?
Dorothy Were.
Wow. Nice. Dorothy? And she loves? Oranges. Nice. At the back. Evelyn, she loves apples, right? Good.
My name is Lewis and I love lemons.
Lewis, and she loves lemons. Let's appreciate you. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Clarence Omo, and I love carrots.
Let's appreciate her. Awesome.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Joseph Kinolia and I love
Kenudia, you love what?
kiwi.
Kiwi. Good. Yes, very unique.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm called Tito Achino and I like avocados.
Avocados. Nice.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, come evening. My name is Meir Mwango and I love mangoes.
Wow. MMM. Triple M.
Yeah,
Nice.
and the last one is Morara.
Morara. Oh, quad M, eh? Let's appreciate.
Hi everyone. I'm Bianca Omboy, and I love bananas.
Yes, Bianca loves bananas. Good. Hey, Bana. Tumechoka ku appreciate. Thank you. Yes, tusichoke.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Hilary Ngina, and I love Annette.
Okay, come again. Hey. Kitu yako karibu na yeye anataka kujua. Google.
Honey.
Okay, tutagoogle. Tumu-appreciate. Tutaendea notes.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Sheila Dempo from Kita Medical and I love apples.
Yeah, nice. Sheila, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm Cherry Orfa from Mount Kenya and I love oranges.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Yes, my name is William Shiro. I'm from MKU and I love watermelons, especially zikiwa na mbegu mingi.
Nice, thank you so much. And thank you. Oh, we have one more here who has not introduced himself. Kindly do so by telling us your name, your organization, and the fruit that goes by your first name or your second name.
Hi guys,
Hi.
I'm John BKU.
John.
John Buru, BKU organization.
The fruits with a J or a name. With a J, a fruit with a J. With a name.
A fruit with a name.
Yes, that starts with a name. A mango. Okay, thank you so much. Let's appreciate it. Good. Yes. That's something to say.
Jelly beans are fruit or what?
What do you think is jelly bean a fruit? It's what?
Cereal.
It's a bean, it's a cereal.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Now, the theme for the day. How many of us are aware of the theme for the day? Why are we here? To see Betty Adera.
No, this is with Betty Adera.
For this, to sit with Betty Adera and discuss leadership. Thank you. What else? Integrity and accountability, right?
Yes.
Good. I believe in our day-to-day life, we have maybe been under somebody's leadership, or else there was a time you were a leader, right? So I want us first of all to just go through the character traits of a leader. And we'll start with a good leader, then we go to a bad leader, right? So which are some of these character traits? Aki mimi, I'm from the other side of there. Sawa sawa. Jitago hapa ile. So pardon me. The R and L. All right. Hey, let's go. The character traits of a good leader. There was a Kelly somewhere, you know? There was a Nan somewhere. There was a Steve somewhere. I don't think I'm very bad with names. Yes.
A good leader is trustworthy.
Yes, a good leader is trustworthy. Thank you so much. Honesty.
Good listener.
He's a good listener, right? Somebody else? Nataka tuziexhaust until tuanze kuzirudia. Yes? Very responsible. Yes, there's a hand there. Accountable and transparency.
Act as a role model.
Act as a role model, right? Somebody else at the back. Somebody at the back, just tell us a character trait of a good leader. Yes, please.
Willing to take risks.
Ready to take
Risks.
risk? Yeah. Thank you so much. Do you have another trait? Another character? Yes. Sorry. Is a decision maker. Accommodative. Another trait for a good leader. Sorry. Courageous. Good. Understanding. Flexible.
Humble.
Very humble. Sympathetic. Sympathetic, empathetic. Those two. Those two. Those two. They all mean one.
Not free.
You only need one. A leader only needs one. Cannot be empathetic and at the same time sympathetic.
We choose empathy.
We choose empathy. What do you think? Let's discuss on that. Should a leader be empathetic or sympathetic?
No. If you're sympathetic, it's very kind of hard to help someone. For example, you come and tell me, oh, I have this and this, and I'm like, why? Yeah, but if I'm empathetic, you know, empathetic is being in your shoes.
Yes. And
If
offering a solution.
Yeah, if I'm in your shoes, then I will know how to handle that situation. So it's easier to help you.
Okay.
But kama nikuhurumisha tu, nikikuhurumia nimekusaidia.
Nikiwishe na wewe sijakusaidia. You know, if I wish with you, hakuna vile nimepatia hiyo solution. But at least when I'm empathetic with you, at least I'm giving you a solution at the end of the day, right? Yes, so as leaders, let us emulate to have that empathetic trait in us. Tume-exhaust zote. Character traits of a good leader. Good leadership. These are some of the things maybe we'll be engaging with Betty. So we're just brainstorming them. Tukikuja tunaweza pop out that question, issues to do with being empathetic and sympathetic as a leader. And anika to exhaust the good character traits. Can you go to the bad character traits? Okay. Pop them out. Wow. give her a chance, then we come to you, yes?
A dictator.
Bad leader is a dictator.
I had the same point.
You had the same point. Maybe.
Come on.
Network.
All right, thank you so much. Somebody else? Somebody else? Yes, hata ukikosa kuinua mkono, mtaona ka point mahali kakitaka kupop out. Thank you so much. Come up again. Arrogant, yes? How those leaders are so arrogant. Nipe your point. Corrupt. Hata isipotoka, kuna vile utaniangalia kuniambia Magi niko na point. Yes, please. Irresponsible. Yes, please. Dishonest. Proud. Judgmental. A bad leader. Wanakuanga team players. Wanakuanga team players. They're not. It's what they say. That is it. And it ends up to be final. Isn't it? Yeah. So suppose you find yourself in the shoes of a bad leader. You as a person, what do you think you can do to this person? Yes. Hizo character traits pop out ambazo ni mbaya. You know? Ambazo ni mbaya. I believe there's this Chinese saying that says, Dogoria shiadua, idua gashiode. No, that is Chinese. Dogoria adua, idua gashiode. Yes. Had your kenodia. Your mboro. Yes, mboro. Mboro, what does that saying mean?
The leaders go, the leaders start meeting, everybody starts meeting.
It says, when the leader starts limping, everybody else will start limping. Now, this is a saying that was from, have you ever seen a group of sheep? It's called what is it called? A group of sheep? A flock. Yes. Most sheep, they are saying, if hapa palikuwa na kambao iruke, zote zitakuja zimefanya nini? Zimeruka. Are we together? Ikienda ikilim, hizi zingine zote zitakuja zimefanya nini? Zimefanya nini? Zimelim. So the leader, kasoro yenye iko na leader, chances are this group might not achieve whatever they want simply because leadership ya mwenye ako pale mbele hawalid penye kunafaa. So now you assume mkono huyo leader ambaye karakta yake moja unaona si nzuri. Do you think it is wise to like talk with your leader? Let's engage. Yes,
Me?
yes.
I think it's wise, depending on the approach.
It is wise.
Depending on the approach that you take to talk to them.
Okay. So it really matters how you approach this leader. Thank you so much. Somebody else? Songele. Kenodia alikuwa wapi hapa?
Huyu hapa.
Kenodia. Majina iko hapa, nikiendelea kusonga nyuma majina tu itapopo. Kenodia, tell us. You have this leader who is not even accommodating, you know, a dictator. Is it wise to approach that leader?
Yes, it is wise. When you engage him as a group and counseling.
And offer counseling. And offer counseling to this leader.
Yeah.
Yes, let me hear from this other side. Yes, I'm here. We're in hands of a leader whom you feel, the dots are not joining. What do you think you should do? Anne, there was an Anne here. Anne? Yes, you see?
I think we should confront him politely. If he does not change, maybe you can ask someone else to approach him.
Okay. Good. From what I've picked out is that it's always good. Try to talk to these leaders, but the way you approach them really matters, right? Yeah, sure. It really matters a lot. Now, I have this story. Story.
Story come.
Hey, kungoja story nayo. Story
come.
So there was this servant who had served this king for like 40 years. And apparently, the parent to this servant fell ill. And what happened is that the servant didn't have enough money to cater for the bill. So what did the servant do? Despite serving his king, being loyal for all these like 40 years, kona hapa there's a very precious jewel. Nitaichukua, sitaiba, alichukua. Nitachukua, I go sell it, and then I'll have cash to go and pay my parents' bill. So that's what the servants did. Went ahead, stole the jewel, sold, and catered for the bill. But as time went by, the king realized kuna jewel yake very precious, haioni. And so the king summoned all his servants, wale alikuwa anajua they were in charge of his room. Akawauliza, who stole my precious jewel? I had placed it at a certain place and I can't find it. So this king, it took him quite a number of days before ajue nani alikuwa ameiba. But eventually, alijua ni servant mgani alikuwa ameiba this jewel. And the rule in that palace was, if you're found having stolen anything in that palace, ulikuwa urushwe tu zile majaman shepherds za huko kwake, asubuhi ukue breakfast when they're very hungry. So this guy hakuwa na option. The following morning, alikuwa arushwe kwa the what? The what?
Dogs.
Yes, the dogs, the German shepherds, any. So what happened is that the servant akaplead na yeye, akamwambia, please, my king, naomba tu unikubalishe I serve those dogs for 10 days. And after these 10 days, mimi nitakubali nilishwe kwa wale umbwa. So the king said, it's okay, I grant you the 10 days. Serve my dogs, but be rest assured, after these 10 days, utafanya nini? Utafanya nini? Utalishwa wale umbwa. And so the servant went ahead, served these dogs very well. What happens in what umbwa zikilishwa hata kama hautailisha? Ni nini inaendeleanga huko? Ati? Bonding. Kunakuwa na hapo ka bonding between the dogs, What else? Each time anazilisha, ni nini anazilisha? Analisha nini kwa hawa umbwa? Nyama. Talishwa nyama. What else is fed to dogs? Dog biscuits. Wow. Kenodia. Which one you need to have biscuits? They take biscuits. When you knew lisha umbwa nini? Mifupa. So you can imagine. And of course, in mind we have the German Shepherd type, Si of course alikuwa anazibrush, ana make sure uko ndani ni kusafi vizuri sana, and was very royal for the 10 days to these dogs. Now, the 11th day kafika. Na akaambiwa, sasa Buddha boss, your day has come. And since it has come, hauna option. You stole the jewel. At the end of the day, we will have to, please, thank you so much for coming. Kindly, msikae kwa jua. We have seats here, and the environment here is so cool. Yes. You can just join me here. Good. Thank you. Now let's carry on with our story. So on the 11th day, what do you think happened? On the 11th day, wakati alienda asubuhi akarushwa kwa hawa umbwa. Do you think the dogs fed? They did. They did. Because they felt this day has been so good to us. And probably maybe for those other days, wale servants walikuwa wanalisha hawa umbwa, labda wako wazuri venye huyu servant moja alikuwa for these 10 days. And the king was wow. How comes hawa umbwa wangu na vile hawahurumiangi hawaja mla nini huyu servant wangu? Okay, those who have just joined us in this story whereby a servant was very royal to his king for like 40 years and apparently he stole the jewels. And these jewels that were stolen, it was one of his servants. So what happened is that he was to be fed to the king's dogs after 10 days. Now we are on the 11th day. Mkona sisi sasa? Asante. So on this 11th day, apparently mbwa hawakumla yule servant wake. And the servant went now to the king and told him, my king, you see, I have served these dogs for only 10 days. But wamenihurumia hawajanikula for breakfast. I have served you for 40 years. And hata uwezi ona huruma, unihurumia for what I did. And yes, I owned up, I did it, but I did it for my sick parents. What's the moral lesson in this story? How many of us in our day-to-day lives have found themselves in situations that they can't forgive? How many of us feel, since I've been in certain leadership, my life got messed up, or rather a plan that I had, it got messed up, and you can't find it in your heart to forgive that leader? How many of us have been in leadership, and there's that thing that you did, that even up to date, umeishi na hiyo guilt? I want us to take up this story, and just know that whatever happens in your life, it's not the end. Okay? Anything that has ever happened, you've ever crossed lines with anyone, there's always room for change. There's always room for change. And many other times we keep on holding on to grudges, and these grudges cannot help us. They make you not to move. They'll make you not to grow. So it's the high time to revisit. Labda mtu umeishi kubeba, hata alisahau kitambo, na akaachana na hilo jambo, wewe umeishi kulibeba. Kindly, let's find it in our heart to forgive. Let it find it in our heart to be people who are accommodative, so that we'll be in a position to grow. Today, you're going to learn a lot at the seat with Betty Adera, and anything that you're going to grasp from her. Of course, you're going to enrich whatever is in between our ears. One thing I always say, today, even if I have my phone here or any other expensive gadget, anybody can take it away from me. But what is in between my ears? Kuna mtu anaweza beba? Kuna mtu anaweza beba? Kuna mtu anaweza itumia? Nobody. So it is up to me to decide what gets here, what remains, and how I'm going to use it. Because you can have a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge with you, but hauitumii vizuri. You know? Hauitumii vizuri. The question is, maybe some of us were here last Friday of the other month, seated with Betty. Whatever you learned during that time, whatever you learned, you know? Let me see, how many were here last Friday? Yes. The last talk with Betty. A number of us. This question is up to you guys. Whatever you learned that time, have you gotten it to good use? Ama iliingia, ikaseto, ama hata saa hivi hukumbuki. Maybe even right now, if we start doing some recap here, labda hata hatukumbuki. My emphasis is, whatever you're going to be shared with today, let's grasp it, make good use of it, that tomorrow, even if you're asked to come and share it with somebody else, or rather wherever you've been, nasikia hapa tuko na KMKU, KMTC, hadi Del Monte. Lil Magic, So, unaona unaweza sambazia watu wa Del Monte, isn't it? Yeah, right. So, whatever information you're going to get, to share out to many others, isn't it? Yes, and we have, I don't know, it's like 5 of us who didn't have the chance to introduce themselves. Since we have time, kindly staki nikuite tena Del Monte. Ama mwenye ako na lines za Ghanaian, ama braids, hapana. Somehow. Ona nikiingia na hapo napata anointing ya forget hizo majina bado. Tutapenya tu hapo ndani so that I get to hear this name. So kindly sir, you may break the rule. Ladies first, no. I've broken the rule. Kindly go ahead. Hi. From the Magic Foundation.
Hello. Hi. I'm Emmanuel Elsie from the Magic Foundation.
Hi everyone. I'm very sorry. Yes, the fruit part, eh?
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. We'll take it back, eh? What are to reverse? Now, this is it. This is how you are doing it. Say your name, the organization, and also a fruit that matches your first name. I'm Margaret. I love mangoes or melons. Yes. Kibarua. Haziko wako sasa. Naona watu wasi wanaibiwa kwa Kenya. Naona. Alright, sawa. Haya basi tuambie vile tunda unapenda. Just go ahead. Take one.
Okay, as I have said, I'm Steven Muteri from the Magic Foundation. Yeah, and I like strawberry.
Yeah, nice. 10 mangoes, melons, Muteri. Let's appreciate Muteri. Nice.
I'm Wendo Elsie, the Magic Foundation. I love melon and mangoes.
Nice. Good.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I'm Carol Kendi from the Magic Foundation. I love coconut.
Hello everyone. Let's appreciate Kendi.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Onyando Brenda, Lil Magic Foundation. I love bananas because I'm from the land of bananas.
Wonderful. So thank you so much. Oh yeah, he's here.
Habari zenu. My name is Stanley Mwaniki.
Stanley, let's appreciate Stanley. Thank you so much. And that marks the end of our first session. And I'll take it up.
Asante. Pungie mkono, salimiane za kilori. Watu wamezoea kupanda pickup. Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe. Asalamu alaykum. Tumsifu Yesu Kristo. Wale hamna dini mpo. Asante. Kwanza ni kuwakaribisha to JSC Monene College. Today we are having the seat with Betty Adera. It is a monthly program, and I'm glad with the help of the leaders from your different clubs. I can see Thika School, thank you for coming. Can see Mount Kenya University represented. I can see Red Cross represented. Thank you so much for coming. Pass my regards to Benjamin. I know he'll be joining us as well. I've seen the chair from Mount Kenya. Oh, umejificha huko. Kiongozi ajifichi sana, watu wako wanaweza gaiwa nyama. Ukiwa nyuma usahaulike. So thank you so much for coming. Without taking much of the time today, I would like to ask Madam Betty Adera to get ready. But before then, you know, I work here as a Dean of Students, and my boss is here. So I can jump and then ask Betty Adera to pay me by end month, and I will not be in a position. So I must make my name in a smooth way. So I would like to give my boss, Madam Director, who is the director for JFC Monene College of Health Sciences, the honor to invite Betty Adera for this show today, so that at least you can hear a lot that she has. I always enjoy your sessions. So today it is a different thing, not like last time. Leo tunasoma kuhusu uongozi na integrity. Ndio? Leadership and integrity. Integrity ni nini na Kiswahili? Hekima hapana, umetudanganya. What is integrity? Wewe umetoka Mombasa. Ama nyinyi Mombasa hapa mtu hapa chini. Nidhamu. You think? Babe, what is integrity in Kiswahili? Uaminifu. Kuaminika. Kitu kama hiyo, si ndio? So hao wote wale hawaaminiki. Kwa hivyo tunaomba leo, ndio maana tumeitwa hapa. Ni viongozi, they are leaders at their own spaces from what they are, and we are looking forward.
Ni kuwajibika.
Kuwajibika. Tumpigie makofi. Hata ameumwa na kichwa. I'm sorry. So, let us give a round of applause to Madam Cecilia, the director of the JFC. She comes to introduce the guest of the day.
Good afternoon. Welcome to JFC College. Nimesikia kuna wale wakosa dini. Kosa dini ama ni kukosa kabisa? Wakosa dini, wenye dini. Karibuni. Oswayo si mdomo changu, so mimi siwezi jibu integrity in Kiswahili. It's a great honor to have here. Feel comfortable. As you've been told, this is a program that we run every month. So I think mumeelezewa the way the program will be running, using your leaders. But itakuweko kila mwezi the last Friday of the month. Na kwa sababu mimi sitaongea sana, it is not my day. So mmesikia it's the sit with Adera. So the sit with me. Do you want a sit with me? Betty is a very good sister and friend to me. We've been friends for so many years and we support each other in many ways. Karibu sana. I take this opportunity nikukaribishe juu siku yako.
Tumpigie makofi.
unatoka Nairobi unapitia Super Highway alafu unamwalia tena. Tupige makofi mazuri. If you are watching us live, you can ask your friends to watch us live as well on YouTube and on Facebook. We are live there at JFC Monene College of Health Sciences, and you can always follow the show from there.
Okay. Hey, Saseni. Saseni. No. Pause. You have to hear there. That's the difference between poor people my age and poor of people, you know, your age. So Saseni. Thank you. So I am deeply honored, Madam Sess and your team, for yet another opportunity to come for a seat with me. It's actually quite an honor. And I always tell myself that, you know what, Bali nimefika in my life and at my age, I think God keeps telling me that, hey Betty, it's time to give it out. It's time to, I need to empty myself for God to fill me also. Because I also need filling, you know, in other areas. So it's again a great honor. And for you to find time out of your busy schedules on a Friday afternoon, hot day like this, you know, to come here to drain my brain, you know, from my experience and whatever I know, I think that speaks to your leadership in whatever position you hold, in whatever institution you represent. Secondly, I always do my best to make time. Like I should be traveling out of the country in a few hours, as you're seeing me. And if it was not for SES, and if it was not for love of young people, by now I would be packing my stuff and finding where my passport is and all those things that people do, you know, before they travel. I am also a mother of young men who are your age mates. So that's also part of the reason why any audience that is a young audience, I'll move things around, you know, to make time for. And I'm so honored that this college will be doing this at least one afternoon in a month, you know, and I think that is a good thing. Sometimes I reflect back on my years when I was this age, your age, and I ask myself, so Betty, what were you doing with yourself? You know? And I wonder, I keep asking myself, there were not as many mentorship opportunities. Actually, there was almost none, you know. Maybe there was a need for, I don't know. Probably some of us, just by grace of God, we just became, you know. But there were no things like this. I've gone through, you know, several universities studying several things, but I've never sat really in a in a forum such as this. So I'm just telling myself that, wow, we really have gotten there where we really need to be, and where people like me are called upon every single day to give off your time, to give off your experience. I am almost 50 years old, as you're looking at me, and I keep telling myself, hey, I've learned more, you know, in life, senior, compared to a 20-year-old, you know. So what is this life lessons? What are career lessons? What are some of the leadership lessons that I have learned over the years that I can, you know, give out to young people like you? What mistakes have I made in the past in my journey to pursue a career? What mistakes have I made in the past, and probably I keep doing, in my pursuit for even higher and higher leadership, you know, opportunities that I can share with you? But what are those little things that I've also done right? You know, because life is about right and wrong. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you guess, you fail, but you pick yourself up and you move forward. Because I always tell yourself, if you see somebody calling himself or herself as a winner, remember that is someone who failed several times and just refused to give up. That is why they are winners. And I'm hoping that with whatever leadership positions you hold, that is going to be your mantra, you know, going forward. As a leader, don't fear failure. You will fail. And I believe you have failed you know, many times in the past. But guess what? You're sitting here today. Why? Because you won something. Because you overcame something. Because you beat other people in something. You know, that is why probably you were chosen the chairperson of some board or club or whatever, right? So today we want to talk about leadership and integrity, and I need to look at the script. Okay, so I can. Okay. Anyway, I know it. So perhaps we could ask ourselves, who is a leader? Or what does the concept leadership mean? Right? What does the concept of leadership mean? If I can ask you, who is a leader, not in terms of name, but in terms of defining that disposition, what would you say? Yes. They need to hear you.
A leader is a person who has the ability to lead people in certain activities.
Someone who has the ability to lead people in doing something, in getting something done, right? Whether they like it or not, but they'll have to like it at the end of the day. If you cause them to do that, then you can call yourself a leader. Someone else? Who is a leader? Or what is a leader? You're calling yourselves leaders, that's why you're here, right? Who are you? Not in terms of your name, but why you hold that position that makes you a leader. Yes, sir.
I would say a leader is a person who motivates a group of people towards achieving a common goal.
Motivates a group of people towards achieving a common goal. So there's a common goal that you have to think about, and there's a person and there are people who needs to be moved around or costs to be moved around to achieve that something that is a goal. One other thing, was your hand up? Yes.
A leader is a person who has the power to guide a group in order to achieve a certain objective.
Someone who has the power, a new concept, power, right? Influence to cause people to do something towards a common goal. Was there a hand somewhere? What about in terms of decision making? What would the role of a leader be by way of definition? A person who also makes decisions on behalf of others, right? The president of Kenya makes decisions on our behalf, right? That makes him a leader. A governor, a member of parliament, a principal in a school, says here, makes decisions on behalf of JFC, right? So that makes her a leader. What about your parents? They make decisions on behalf of their children, right? What about you? You also make decisions about others, right? So that makes you a leader. Suffice to say that from definition, technically almost everyone, you know, is a leader. You don't have to sit in some big fancy office for you to be called a leader, but leadership is more of the disposition rather than a title based on the definitions you have just made here. Having influence, having power over people, making decisions on their behalf, causing them and rallying them and facilitating them to achieve some common goals. Does that look like what you do every day in your role as a leader? Are you always making decisions on behalf of others? Are you always rallying them towards some common vision? Do you have influence over them? When you speak, do they listen to you? Mkubwa amesema, kiongozi amesema, so you have to do, right? All right, let's shift gears a little and talk about integrity. It was called what? Kuwajibika. Uwajibikaji. Woo, I've tried, eh? Sindio? The noun. So what does that mean? What is the integrity? We keep hearing people say, oh, that leader, Hana, hata integrity, Hana. It's so hard to come by a leader who can pass the test of time insofar as integrity is concerned. But what is integrity? It's a word we use almost every day, synonymous with leadership. So sour. But what is it? What is integrity? Say that again? It's the quality of being honest. All right? So honesty, but in the context of leadership. Sawa sawa. So an honest leader can equal to a leader with integrity. Sawa sawa. What else? What is integrity? Talk to me. Uko nyuma. Yes.
Integrity would be standing for what is right.
Standing for what is right. Even if you're alone. Even if that thing you're standing for is unpopular. Sawa sawa. But it is standing for what you believe in and what you perceive to be right. Integrity, yes. Having positive, strong, positive moral principles. That is what he's saying. Unpack that. Moral principles like we have heard about honesty, standing for what you believe in. What else?
You can have positive moral principles in your leadership. Those principles will guide you on how to direct your team.
Okay. Principles that can guide you on how to give direction to your team. Okay. We are still on uwajibikaji. What does that mean? And can you give some examples? Uko nyuma?
Maybe supporting this point, it can be like something like truthfulness.
Being truthful. Okay. Being truthful. Truthfulness, honesty. Senor, what else? All right, let me ask it this way. When you hear a leader in Kenya, anyone, a leader in Kenya, we're not naming names, Senor, lacks integrity. What is it that they will have done for someone to say that such and such a leader lacks integrity? Just moving the question a little bit around. Yes, at the back.
For such a leader, it is the person who does not live to what was chosen to be. Is not living to his expectancy. So the position itself to be a leader, he doesn't live to what the standards he was chosen to be.
Somebody who doesn't live to the standards expected of the leadership position or this position that he or she holds. Sawa sawa? Anyone else before I move on? Okay. So today I just wanted us to talk a little bit about what leadership is and what integrity is and where the fusion is, where the two sort of like converge, right? Because you cannot be called a great leader, you know, if your integrity measures are below sea level, okay? We are also going to look at qualities of a good leader, but we'll focus more attention on qualities of an effective leader, because good is not good enough until you are effective, so that when you make decisions on behalf of people, it works. So that when you cause people to do something, they actually move to that vision and actually achieve it. So that's our gold standards. We want to move from just being good leaders. Oh, she's a good leader. Everyone is a good leader. But we want to move to the level of saying, what is it about you as a young leader today, alive today, that if you do, you will cross the line and now be in the category of effective leaders, right? Wait. We are also going to look about what is it that you need to do. What can you do to improve your leadership skills? What can you do to improve integrity around your leadership? And then we are also going to look at implications. So what? All right. What does that all mean to you as young leaders today in your respective universities? So there is a presentation I presented, but it will be with the school. If they so deem, they can share it with you, via email for your reference. But as we have already said, leadership is the art of consistently influencing and directing subordinates, exactly what we were saying, in ways to obtain their willing obedience, okay, their confidence in you, their respect and loyal cooperation in a manner desired by a leader, or in a manner that then will cause the whole group of people to achieve that common shared vision. So we started looking a little bit at qualities of a good leader, all right? And we've touched on integrity as one of them, all right? Being able to influence others is another quality. Because have you seen a leader just by title, but they cannot cause nothing to move? Nothing will move, right? They come in front of the class or in front of, their constituencies, and they're just there. Even if they say something, nothing moves. But there are those leaders who, the minute they just show up and even do nothing, unaona tu, action happening. So what are some of the qualities of a good leader? We're just talking average, good leader. What more can you say? What more can you say? Yes. A good communicator, right? You can't influence people except you're able to communicate clearly and effectively to them. Yes, sir. Able to make decision, take that decision because the buck stops with you. How many times do you see leaders who issues are brought to them, and their desk just piles and piles and piles, and they cannot take not even one decision because they fear, if I take this decision, these people will be happy, but these ones will not. So they'd rather not take that decision. That's a critical point. What else? Yes. A good listener. Please, talk to me, come on. Yes, at the back.
An empath. An empath.
Oh, someone who has empathy. Yes, great. A good leader needs to have empathy. Sindio, kale ka huruma kiasi, just understanding people and trying to put yourself in their shoes as you engage with them. Who else? Yes. Influence. You have to be able to influence people. Remember, we are still just talking about a good leader. Yes?
Wise and honest.
Should be?
Wise and honest.
Wise and honest. Wisdom is rare these days. Do you agree? Even among those with big peppers, but also, that's a good point. And then also integrity, as we've said. What else? These qualities can be even 1,000 of them. Yes. Should be a team player, not a solo mover. Move with everyone together and cause the team to be together. I'm trying to pick someone who has not spoken. Yes, young man.
They must be accountable.
Not hear that.
They must be accountable.
They must be?
They must be
accountable. Accountable. Great. That's a big one. I'm coming to that because that ties also with integrity kiasi. You have to be accountable. There's a reason you're a leader. There are people whose lives, livelihoods, everything, well-being depend on you. And in some cases, there are resources that come into your hands because of your position of leadership. So how accountable are you to the people above you, the people with you, and the people below you? So that's a great one. Yes, sir. Accommodative, right? You listen to them until midnight. Not really, but we need to be accommodative. Yeah. What else? I want to move to another. Yes. Responsible. There's a reason you're a leader, right? It's because you need to show, your level of responsibility, and that you take your job, seriously. Any other that I'm leaving? Yes. Ability to delegate. It's like you're looking at my screen, eh? Ability to delegate. You haven't seen a leader who wants to be everywhere and be everyone at all times. They freak out, at the thought of trying to assign her to do task 1, 2, 3, and assign her to do task 3, 4, 5. Then at the end of the day, you get her a bottleneck, because then a day only has 24 hours for everyone, including the leaders, right? So that's a critical attribute. Any other hand before I move forward? Oh, yes. Self-awareness. Kujijua wewe mwenyewe, si ndio? Knowing where you are at, knowing what your strengths really are, knowing what your weaknesses are, and doing something about it. Sawa. So there's also a sense of gratitude. Have you seen leaders who hawana shukrani? Are they fun to be around? No. Someone who just shows gratitude. You send someone to do a task, they did it, and they did it well. Wamekuletea report, just say thank you. Those are just only 2 words. And it takes you an eighth of a second to say thank you. Sawa. But that's normally a challenge to some. Learning ability, tying that to being self-aware, and also tying that to ile ability ya kuambiwa. There are some leaders hawaambiliki. You come to them trying to give them feedback about their leadership. At that moment, you become sworn enemies. Yeah. So a good leader needs to be able to learn, have the ability to learn, to sit, listen, pause, and just let people tell you things about you or about your leadership. All right? Then, of course, courage and respect. Courage is something. Courage is one of those key things that if you're not courageous, you have got no business calling yourself a leader, right? Because situations will come, things will come that will need you to go and knock the door of the dean. Things will come that will need you to go and knock the door of Madam Director, Senor, and you're the head of the welfare of students in your college. Na sayo unaanza kutetemeka hivi. So leaders, a good quality is courage. Have you seen people who are so courageous? Na anavuka and then unajiuliza, alivuka aje? Just because of, perception and how you kind of present yourself. No one wants to be led by a sloppy-ish, a sloppy type of a leader. And of course, respect. Remember, respect is the way you want people to respect you. You should be the first one to respect them, even if you don't like them. Those are some of the things you pay for being a leader. You don't have to like anyone or like everyone, but you have to treat everyone with respect, even if you don't like them. Sawa. It's one of those qualities that will set you apart. You can move this one. Next slide. Now, we talked about good leaders, qualities of good leaders. I want to believe all of you are good leaders. Clap for yourself once. I said once. Clap for yourself once. Now, let's talk about effective leaders. Effectivity, if there's such a word, is that thing that separates this leader from this one. 10 of you are leaders, but only 2 can be called or classified as being effective. Senior. But we want all the 10 to be called effective. And this is something you have to just work hard about as a leader. You have to be deliberate about, and you have to be consistent about. Effectivity in leadership just doesn't come like that. It is something you have to calculate. It is something you have to invest in. Even if it means going back to school, even if it means doing what, but you have to show some level of investment and consistency. So that if we are saying you're a leader who treats people with respect, you're treating everybody with respect. Not only our wakabila yako maybe, or gender yako maybe, or dini yako maybe. You know these things, eh? These things. So. But consistency across the board. So let's look at some of the attributes or qualities that can set leaders apart. Can we brainstorm a few different from what we've said? What is that thing that will make leader so and so stand out compared to 1,000 others? Nini hiyo? Yes. A leader who does service above self, right? Kind of tough in Kenya today, yeah? Sit down. But he's right. It's one of those things that people need to see you as someone who puts the needs or the issues of your constituents ahead of yours, right? There's a bursary that you can give out. It's in your power to give out. Umeanzanga na mtoto wako, your sister's children, your neighbors, your nephews and nieces. Sasa number 10 huko ndio wanaanza kuwa watu wa mashinani, si ndio? So in that kind of an example, is that a leader who puts herself above the rest? No. That is a selfish leader. And selfishness can never make you an effective leader, right? Okay? So rising above self. Now in your context as student leaders, can someone give me an example of how you can achieve that? You're not the president, you're not the MP, you're not the MCA, you're not the principal, you're not the dean, you're a student leader.
Knowing what you can do, what you can't do. If you can't do something, you have to delegate it to someone else. When you have known yourself at a personal level. So self-awareness is one of the things that makes somebody be yourself. You will have a service about self.
Self-awareness is an example, practical example on how you can put others, others' issues above yourself. In that regard, you need to figure out how to prioritize things, all right? Prioritize your own development, because remember it's about self-awareness, right? Vis-a-vis developing others. We don't want you to develop everyone else and forget yourself. No, but there has to be a balance, some reasonable balance, right? And in that particular regard, you need to practice what we call emotional intelligence. There are so many leaders, great leaders, good leaders, but they lack emotional intelligence, all right? So practice of emotional intelligence can be one way of making you an effective leader. For example, the food is horrible in the dining hall. Just giving I just picked an example from my head, right? There's horrible food in the dining hall. And you are the student leader. You're the student president, right? And over time, fellow students come to you saying, this food is bad, tunaona mende, tumekutana na weevils in the githeri, those things, right? So, how do you handle such a situation? You can join them in comrade power and burn the school down. That's possible, and it has happened, right? But you can also do what? You can call the few who have this issue, all right? And say, hey, can we meet in my room, or can we meet in the dining hall, or can we meet wherever? So that now you as a leader get into depth of that particular issue. Now, when you do that, umepoesha moto. Sawa. Then figure out now what to do with that, how to pick that information and send it, escalate it upwards to the management. That is emotional intelligence, if you ask me, right? But you could also have a choice of saying, hey, we want nini, let's burn the school down, and burn the school down. The cops will come. You're all going to be tear gassed. See, that we know how that drill goes, eh? And then by the time you will eventually be called to come back to school, your parents have to pay this huge bill to pay for the things that were destroyed and broken down and all that. I'm not sure if that's a good example, but I just wanted to show that there's some things that ties to the wisdom that we're hearing about in the way you manage situations. Because again, as a leader, you're called upon to problem solve. Your life, 8 to 5, is about solving problems. Isn't it? Somebody's wife, ameza, that's a problem. Unaletewa. That's my life. You know, someone doesn't have school fees. You know, that's a problem. Unaleta, you have to figure out. And there are like thousands of them, you know, in a day. So do you say, many Joshua, or do you just figure out how to manage each and every one of them? Oh, I don't have a job. I get those like so many times, you know, in a day. Do I say, after all, why are you bothering me? Or do you figure out how, with wisdom, how to first of all calm this person down, let him, her understand that actually unemployment is a global phenomenon, like you're not alone. You know, there's so many people. And while I will try, can we think about other alternatives, right? So that way you may not have a job to give them, but by the time you part ways with them, you know, they feel like, oh, okay, there's something I gain from that leader. So that is what encompasses the self-awareness, the prioritization, you know, and the emotional intelligence, the soft skills, you know, how to, someone talked about communication, how you communicate with people. Do you even walk in and greet people first, hi, ama wewe unaingia tu and pap, umesha, you know, that two things, small things like that, but people that tell the story of the kind of leader you are, all right? Then also, still tied to that is focusing on the big picture. Remember, there's a journey you want to take your people to. Kuna kana nuko, sindio? Sindio? Remember Moses and the Israelites, eh? I mean, literally, we read it in the Bible. I don't know about Muslim faith. But the Christian faith, Moses was to take people somewhere. Okay, the people reached, but him, he didn't. Anyhow, focus on the big picture. There's a lot that will come along the way to distract you as a leader. Unataka kuenda kupeleka watu huku, and there'll be things or people or forces or situations that will want to like bring you down or slow you down or make you change your trajectory completely. So have and stick on the big picture. You have to be clear on what that big picture is. Maybe you're only student leader for 1 year. So no, that your term is only maybe one academic year. I don't know, I'm saying. So in this your 1 year, when you're looking for that position, see you say, if you elect me as your Mr. JFC or Mr. MKU, so there, I will do da-da-da-da-da-da. Now that is your vision. And that is your big picture. Stick to it. That's just in simple words. So thank you for that. What else would make a leader move from being good to being effective? What is this that can make a leader move from being a regular averager to being an exceptionally transformative leader? Someone else? Yes.
A problem solver.
A problem solver? Okay. But how? Even a good leader will problem solve. How do you solve this, your problem, to make you an exceptional leader? I think that's what I'm getting at.
Being able to manage when problem comes up, being able to handle the situation and come out with the best solution to that problem.
Being able to face situations head on, right? As a leader, if you see trouble coming this way, you don't run here. You run to it. Senor, you have to face it because it's your job. Otherwise, the country will burn down. You have to face issues every single day. As a leader, your job, as she's correctly saying, is to problem solve. Some will be small things, but some can be serious things that can actually even threaten you, threaten your own iyo kiti chako. Sawa sawa. So you need to figure out how to promptly in a timely manner, effectively resolve the problem, and being able to be truthful about it, so that kama wewe ndio uko na makosa, we put it that way to you, si ndio? So that at the end of the day, the warring parties or whatever the cause of that problem or challenge is solved, once and for all. And of course, you and your team learn from it, learn lessons from it, make mistakes, learn lessons from it. Should you be faced with a similar one in future, now you know what to do. Sawa. Thank you. How about if a leader focuses on developing others? This is a big one. The measure of an effective leader, whether political or a leader in which field, is the degree to which he or she builds the people around him. True? How many times do you see a member of parliament for 10 years, for instance, but the two youths around him or her are still begging for 200 bob every single day? Is that an effective leader? Does he, she take his, her time, to develop this team around him or her? I repeat, the measure of an effective leader, to me this is the ultimate, is the degree to which people around him or her move up, or develop, or grow, right? So as a leader, as an effective leader, you're called upon to focus on developing others. Remember, you're a leader because of others first, not because of yourself first. That's the way it should be. So to what extent are you developing these other people? Do you have an opportunity the dean has written to you, right? Sasa tafuta hapo vijana watatu kama wanne, we want to take them, on an exchange learning trip to Mombasa. See, those things happen. That's an opportunity to build people around you, right? But honey, whose name do you bring? You bring names of people hata watu wanashangaa, watu wewe umewatoa wapi? Yet the ones around you, you want them to stay there. So there are some little things that you can do as a leader to build your own team. If you come across a great training program on online, write a quick email or send them the link, or send them, an SMS and tell them, hey, you're around me for a reason. My expectation is that you take this course. It's a free course. But come to me once you have done it. You're building your team. And there's so many creative ways of doing that, right? You're going somewhere. Usiende solo, carry 2 or 3, muendange. You're coming to the seat of Betty Adera. Na umejileta peke yako. Sindio? Next time carry 5 other people. Because you don't know what you will come out of here with and what they will come out of here with. You have come. To what extent are you going to share the knowledge you'll have learned here today with the rest of your team? If this presentation is sent to you, unakaa tu nayo wewe, it is your top secret, deep state secret. Or do you throw it around within your, the people around you? For what? To build them. You're in colleges, you're studying various things. Are you all studying the same thing? No. And you're at various levels. Kuna freshers, and there are those who are about to finish and to graduate. The minute you move to the next semester, remember in college you're more experienced than the fresher who's coming. Senor, to what extent are you holding the hands of this fresher one and walk him or her around the system, of this school? To what extent are you showing them things around so that they can also move up? One secret that most leaders miss is that there's an argument that, especially in the political space, that if I empower people around me, the day I will need them to throw stones awatakuwa, because they will be busy with their lives. Yeah, that's a narrative that's out there. And that's a narrative I've actually seen work. Some leaders actually don't build their teams for that simple, stupid reason. Without knowing that actually, if I build you and you come out of my nest, it is an investment. The day I will need help, that person will sure come to. The day my child will be stuck with something, because you don't know about tomorrow. You don't know where life will take you tomorrow. Sawa. That person who you built will pick your son on the street or your daughter somewhere and also do the same to them. And there's no investment that doesn't come back, especially if you invest in a fellow human being. So as leaders, you want to be effective leaders, think some more about that. You can start it mdogo mdogo right now while you're in college, but remember you're not going to be in that college forever. Within a short time, you graduate and you go to the world out there. And we want to hope and believe that you'll continue, with your leadership out there. Again, you need to encourage strategic thinking, innovation, and action around you as a leader and your team. You're young, and there's something beautiful about being young in the world today. You are the innovators. You are the creative thinkers. You're the strategic thinkers. Embrace that yourself and encourage it in your team. That will set you apart. How about ethical and civic minded? Being ethical and civic minded. Here, you would be like considering consequences of your decisions and actions before you make them. And you have to do it fast, because there are some decisions that can't wait. If you wait, the school will burn down. If you wait, somebody will be seriously ill. If you wait, someone can lose their life. But as you're making that decision, remember every decision has a consequence, period. All right? So as a leader, always weigh things in your head. So if I take this route, are the good consequences more than the bad one? You take it. And whatever decision you take, stick by it, because it is you who made it. Sasa, hata kama hutadhoka tunayo, stand by your decision, because it is you who made it, right? So this is the time to start sharpening that snap decision-making skills, snap but strategic and consistent, all right? And of course, practice cross-cultural communication. Right now, more so now, thanks to COVID, we live in a digital and virtual world, right? Like where I work now, there are so many people I've never met, but we are colleagues. We work together for over a year. But physically, I don't know how you look like, except I see you from here upwards. I don't know how your legs look. Anyhow, my point is, the world is now a global village, right? You can be in this college or whatever college you are, but remember, there's a student like you somewhere in California. There's a student like you somewhere in SA, Sindio, who would at some point want to engage with you. So as a leader, just be mindful of the cross-cultural context where we are right now. Sometimes I see people post things on social media. To you, it's a joke. But to someone else, it's actually an insult. An insult to their gender, an insult to their tribe, an insult to their, like religion, an insult to their sexual orientation, an insult to them just as human beings. So wewe usipatikane huko, because we will dig these things. A time comes when someone needs to do some digging around you, honey. Let me tell you, someone is gonna dig something about you. The current job I'm doing, they actually had to dig up to the nursery school where I went to. And I'm almost 50 years old. Oh yeah. People who responded to things, on my Facebook were called at random. We saw you responding to this post of hers. Unamjua aje. Unaona? So it's no longer anymore about those 2 or 3 referees you write on your CV. No one will call those ones where we are going. Let me tell you. Because from here you're a leader, but after this you want a job, right? So we need to be mindful of these things. We see people who get good jobs, and then when they dig later, tuvitu, inapatikana in their social media, and that good job of yours, shua, imekuacha na imeenda. So we have to be. Social media is great. I love it. But remember, there's a demon behind it, and it never forgets. Right? Now, let's move a little quickly around integrity now. Sasa hapa kwa integrity, okay? Let's move to the next slide. Next slide. So we had talked about what integrity is and how it is like the other side of the coin, you know, of leadership. Because you can't be a great leader if integrity is not one of the things that you practice. So why is integrity so important, you know, in leadership? Why do you need to be honest? Why do you need to stick to your word when you say it? Why? Of what value is that to you? People generally want to work and want to associate with people who are ethical. All right? Personally, for me to let you in my space, I really need to dig you. I'm sorry to say. All right? Because there are places where you can get in trouble, not because of your own doing, but by association. Who are you associating with? All right? So people tend to want to align and identify with people who are of character, who are of high moral values, if you like. Now, leaders with integrity tend to treat their constituents right. They tend to treat them with respect. Remember all those qualities we talked about? And they always want the best for them. All right? They always want the best. They're always asking. So, Yule says, what is it that I can do to make her move from where she is to where, you know, to a higher level? That's the beauty of integrity. Why is integrity important? Because it builds credibility. It builds a stronger reputation and trust. There are opportunities that have just come my way. You will do boom. Dear Betty, we heard from so and so. Are you available to do 1, 2, 3? You know, those two things. So, a good name will open doors for you. A good name will open good doors for you. That is just how important integrity is. And integrity is also, you know, practiced over time. Senor, you have to be consistent in all these things that we've talked about and build it over time for you to create that reputation, you know. And remember, it is so hard to build a reputation, okay, a good reputation. Let me be clear. But you can break it just in a second, just by doing something silly. All those good things you ever did as a leader, no one will remember them, no one will even want to talk about them. People will want to just focus on the wrong things that you have done. Integrity creates a pathway, you know, for trust and aspiration. A leader who practices integrity somehow kind of just attracts people, and people get attracted to them, and they see value in hanging around them. Integrity equips you for challenges ahead, because as a leader, remember your number one job is to solve problems. We just heard about that. So trouble will come. Big troubles, small troubles, medium troubles, trouble will come, will face you, and you will have to handle them. So being someone of integrity also shields you from so many things. Like for me, people who work around me know you can't go to Betty with Mushene. One, I don't have time for Mushene. But secondly, if you have something to tell me, it had better be factual. Wewe mwenyewe umesha angalia all those facts. So just don't come telling me that she's bad because you know what. Because you'll start like this. Hey, stop. You're talking about who? Mary. Come on, Mary, come. I repeat. So I've built that over time until I don't have time for Mushene, by the way. So if people come to me with issues, of which they do, there are issues that are factual, there are issues that I really now need to consider and think about. But you see, you build that over time. Because if I encourage Mushene, one Mushene will come. 2 months later, there'll be 20. So as a leader, do you have time for Mushene? Is that the most important thing you should be doing as a leader? Sasa. And Mushene will come, by the way. Again, emotional intelligence on what do you want to consume, or what do you want to let it go. Sawa sawa. And then, of course, it's also a commitment for success. So how do you display and develop integrity? I'll run over this very fast. Again, nothing different from what we have said. You need to practice honesty and treat people with respect. Let me talk about honesty kidogo. That thing that you will not mind coming to the public is what you need to do, even if you are alone. That is what honesty is all about. If you are alone, if no one is watching, no human being is watching you, there's no CCTV, only you and your God. All right? What are you doing? What are you saying? What are you thinking? What actions are you taking? Vis-a-vis when you're standing in front of people like I am doing right now. Honesty has to be inside you. It is not something you show people only in public, and then in private you're wearing a different coat, right? And if you can do just that alone, you will pass the integrity bar, and that thing, will stay with you. Sometimes you can ask yourself, I want to go for a second term, but now my competitor is so strong. So let me figure out how to steal the votes. Integrity. But see, everyone is doing it. Sindio? After so and so did it. And if I don't do that, mimi ndio nitabaki. Same to, just literally corruption. That's what it's all about. That's the whole story behind it. Everyone is doing it. Who doesn't want big money? Nothing can move in this country without this. And if you can give, remember even you can receive. And as a leader, you can't do it alone. You have to corrupt your accountant, or you have to corrupt this team member of yours to be the one to do it. So if you tell your accountant, now, for your training, nitafutie 20K. You think the accountant will look for 20K? Atatafuta 50. Wewe yako atakupa tu hiyo 20. But hata yeye amefanya. So you as the leader, you're the one corrupting the person. All right? But remember, as a leader, the buck stops with you. And the world is watching. You can get away with things for now, but you cannot get away with your guilt. And you cannot get away with that day that you will stand very hard between you and your God to answer this question. So there's no other, in my view, there's no other way around. And remember, leadership that is built on integrity lasts. You might lose the seat because you stood for the right thing, and you did the right thing. But remember, leadership is not always the title. You can be out of the seat, but even more influential and more powerful than someone who's actually sitting on that seat. Back to the big picture. Think about this big picture of your leadership journey. Where do you want it to go? So hold yourself accountable to yourself first. To yourself. If you're to give your time 2 hours alone on a project and no one is watching, are you actually giving the 2 hours? Or are you giving 30 minutes and the other 30 minutes you're surfing around the web and doing your thing? It is those little things that if you build and get past, the bigger ones will be easier. All right? So consider also conducting a self-audit. Like what I do, which works for me every day. As long as I'm not sick, I wake up at 4 a.m. To do what? To do a self-audit every day. So I don't have a big time to audit myself. I'm just auditing myself for the last 24 hours, right? And for me, that is what works. So you figure out what works for you. But that's the time I have a staff meeting with myself. I am the note taker, I am the chair of the meeting, I am the secretary, I am the treasurer, I am the members of my own meeting with myself. But what do I do at that time? In the dead of the quiet, I reflect on the last 24 hours. What did I set out to do? What did I actually do? What was I not able to do? Why? What can I do to improve next time? What is this thing that came that I did not plan about? But it came. Because things will come. Did I annoy anyone in the in the day? Did anyone annoy me, during the day? Do I need to go and apologize to someone? You know, self-audit, right? I was faced with this decision. The one I took, was it a good one? Look at the consequences. Fulani analia, but Fulani amefurahi because of my decision. Which one was a better option from a moral perspective? If I'm cool with that, I am cool with that. I leave it there, and I am ready to face another day. So have a habit of doing a self-audit. And also, you can set people up in your team to be telling you things. That Fulani Wewe, your job is to, even if I'm going to be angry, how? You tell it to me, because that's your job. You know, tell me where you think I'm not doing right. Because there's no one is perfect. No human being is perfect. And sometimes you make mistakes without knowing. Sometimes I can tend to be too radical, too strict, you know. And some people who have put in my teeth and, hey madam, Akiapo, let it be. Okay, I will just let it be because of myself. But I'm also trying to tell myself, so what is the lesson I am learning there to keep building myself, right? Also surround yourself with honest people. Remember, there is that connection by association. Sindio? You can be lumped with the good people. You can also be a good person lumped with wrong company, right? So think about who you want to let in your closer circle. As a leader, you have to engage with everybody, remember. But me, I always say, there's row number 1, there's row number 2, until row number 1,000. So, umeweka watu wapi, you know. And there's a row that you can just tell yourself, here, no one is coming through, except I am so sure that this person means well for me, especially from a political perspective. You need to stay focused on your vision. You need to pay attention to your environment within your school, but also, you know, in the external environment. You need to find out how others view you. You need to keep your word. Keep commitment to your promise. Keep commitment to your word. And deliver on your promises. If you say, if you elect me, I will do it. Just figure out how to do it. So that usikue wale, people say, ule niwa, wakuongea tu. He or she can never do anything. What about effective leadership? The how. How do you display it? What is it that you need to do every day so that mtu akikuangalia aseme yenyewe fulani is actually has graduated from being a good leader to being an effective one? Setting boundaries between your personal space and your professional space. You're two different people, right? You are your personal you. Son, daughter, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, or so and so. Mother, father, also, and that's your personal you. But then there's the professional you. You're the leader of in whatever column, yeah? So just set those boundaries aside so that your family doesn't suffer in the name of you being the, so that your personal space doesn't suffer because of your leadership roles or your leadership positions. Sometimes it's kind of hard, but you need to just figure out what works for you, so that when you're back home, you're just the mother to your children. Acha ofisi, uko, wherever you left the office, right? So there needs to be that balance. Be aware of yourself in terms of your strengths, your weaknesses, and your biases. Biases is a big one. Please talk to yourself. Figure out that bias that you have. Are you biased against people of a particular tribe? Tell yourself the truth. If you are, work on it. So that it doesn't hinder your leadership. Because we had said we work in a virtual and global world. You're going to meet everyone everywhere. You know, people from all walks of life, right? And you can't start showing attitude to a particular group of people in a population. So really, you know, think about that. Emotional intelligence is a must, but it's something you need to build all the time, and how? Think for a moment before you make a decision, and you have to think like that, like on your feet, all right? Think about the consequences of your decision, because every decision has a consequence, right? It's gonna be a good one, it's gonna be a bad one. Sometimes it's gonna be both. So you just have to weigh. Okay, so the good outcomes will be more than the bad outcomes. take that path, but whatever decision you make, die with it. Good or bad, because it's you who made it after all. Okay? Focus on the big picture and avoid distractions. As a young person, it is so easy for your opponents to throw distraction your way. And before you know it, you can easily be swayed off your path. Which took now you have 2 months to the end of your term, and you want to defend your seat. And then people will be like, nay. We saw you, we heard you, you said you did not do. Why? Because you were distracted. And there's so many things that can distract people. Not just young people, but a human being can easily be distracted by 2 things too. So be aware of that if you want to be effective as a leader, and if you want to show people that, fulani tangu aingie kwa hiyo kiti, she or he is different. She's taking that role of hers or of his very serious. So, because that's just the way it is. If you are not ready to do these things, achana na leadership, go and do whatever else you need to do with your life. Next slide. Again, learn to delegate. Someone talked about, delegation. Part of delegation contributes also to building your team. Senor, if I give you a task to do and you do it wrongly, then I come in and I show you how to do it nicely. Have I built you? Yes. Have you learned something? Yes. So if you're given a similar task in the future, you're good at it and you wait for another. Approach leadership this way. You're the leader, but try to create 10 of you. Try to create people around you that even if wewe ukitoka, because your time will come to vacate that seat. Let you be succeeded by one of your own. That is one of the strengths and demonstrations of effective leadership. Show empathy. I was going to say show empathy. Yeah? You now can tell where I come from. Show empathy. Thank you. Show empathy and strength. Let people know that our leader is a strong one, strong woman, strong man. Not yule mwenyana lega. Be firm but flexible. Be firm but flexible, right? The rules are rules, but if you have to break them, you had better give me a good reason for breaking them. That is what we mean by be firm on your goals, be firm on your objective, be firm on the task. If I give you all tasks, I definitely want them back the way I gave them to you. But if for some reason you can't, then I should also be understanding of that, all right? Train your team, build your team. I cannot say enough of that. Build a team that is as diverse as possible. When in Jaluo, don't have everyone Jaluo in your team. Studio, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm also not saying it's good. My point is, have diversity. Sawa. Bring as many people who are studying different things. Have a mathematician there. Have a musician inside there. Kuwa na msanii. Kuwa na mtu wa triple chemistry, yeah, in your team. And so that at the end of the day, if you listen to everyone, you're actually getting like a full, and a complete picture of what you need to get, because the world out there is not linear, and it also is not siloed. Everyone have to be accommodative of everyone else, right? And as Richard Branson famously said, I'm reading a quote: train people well enough so that they can leave you, but treat them well enough so that they don't want to leave you, all right? So as a leader, you have to figure out that balance. Build people so that if they leave, remember we said that is an investment. So. But treat them so nicely so that hata kama mtu anakuja na with what? Wanasema, mimi fulani has treated me so well. Fulani treats me with a lot of respect. I want to die with that person next time. Okay? There's a lot. Again, look forward, encourage creativity, focus on the future, be flexible to try new things. Senor, you can't just keep talking about the same thing day one and you're talking about it day last. Senor, every day try things. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think that's the bottom line. Next slide. Again. Embrace enthusiasm and confidence. Adapt communication. That slide talks a lot about communication. I think there'll be value in you guys getting a copy of this presentation, right? And remember that again, speak in clear terms, speak clearly, speak timely. Don't use too much jargon and confuse people. So that umeshaongea na people for 1 hour, then watu wakitoka wanaulizana, lakini vile alikuwa anasema, and they were with you for 1 hour. It means that that's a wasted hour, because you talk, at the end of the day, watu wametoka with more confusion than they came to. Remember listening. Someone talked about listening here. Listening is critical, like super critical. Try to speak less and listen more, because if you listen more, that is when you get the nuances from people. Ground you can't get to know what the ground is saying if you're the one talking, like a parrot. Give yourself time and pause, and that's a skill. Some people need to learn. There's some leaders anaingia tu hivi na yeye ndiye ameanza. Na itakuwa tu ni yeye, for the whole hour, and then you people, go away. Until you ask yourselves, you could have just called and still ranted on the phone. Next slide. So this is the last slide, and I think in conclusion, we've talked about leadership, we've talked about integrity, we've tried to unpack what those are and what they are not. We've tried to consider some practical examples, on how those can be displayed. We've looked through what makes a good leader. We've also looked through what will set you apart and make you an effective leader. We have also looked at the how. What is it that you need to do over time, to become an effective leader that practices integrity as well. So the question on this slide is, so what? So what does all this mean, to you guys who are young leaders in your respective fields in the land of the living today? So what does it all mean? Number one is that leadership and integrity are like two sides of the same coin. You cannot be a good leader, you cannot even be close to being an effective leader if integrity is not part of your qualities, if integrity is not part of what you practice, every single day as you execute your duties as a leader. Secondly, credibility and reputation takes a lifetime to build. But remember, you can destroy it in the blink of an eye. You just make one simple silly mistake. Sindio? Aka video yako ile inaendanga around mtu amechomoa from nowhere. Pa! That is enough to destroy all the good things that you have done as a leader for so long. Be the change that you want to see. We are always on social media so quick to point out, to call out, leaders who in our views are not effective, who in our views do not practice integrity, right? But remember, even you, the person who's pointing out to others, you're also a leader in your own right. So what does that all mean? Be that change that you want to see. You young people say today that our generation of young people, nyinyi amutaki ujinga ya non-integrity, and let it end with you. So that the leaders who are my age mates upwards, tuendange tukienda, with our with perhaps the wrong, type of leadership dispositions, and you guys create the good one. And I believe in you. I believe in the power and vitality, really, of young people to actually cause things to move. You are so many that if you decide today you want to tear leader X into pieces, online because of something he, she, has done, you can do it. And if you can only do it consistently, but also practice that thing that practice that thing that you'd want to see, then I'm thinking that it is possible to have a great, world to live in. Make other leaders out of you. Don't be the last, because certainly you are not the first. Sawa. But create other leaders out of you. Let that person who takes over from you, senior, be the one you are mentoring. Okay? Look at Tanzania now. Well, Magufuli, rest in peace, senior. But look at that scenario. Just like that. Ha! You know, the vice president is president. The first female in East Africa. No, I think she's the second, right? Senior. But why? Because she's been in the circumference, if you like, of the late president forever. So they've worked together. They've journeyed together. I want to believe in terms of leadership, she understands the late Magufuli better than anyone else. And perhaps while she will lead in her own style, you know, she has the power in her hands to fulfill some of the dreams of Magufuli that he never was able to do. You know, for this term. My point is, make other leaders out of you, period. All right? Don't drown in shallow waters after surviving the deep waters. Many of you, I don't know your story, but everyone has a story. Kitambo ufikie, you're in a college like this, or you're in a university, or you're in a post-secondary institution, studying some career, you have a past. Some of you struggle so hard, even to get food to eat. And for you to even be in a college like this, it is like a miracle. You know, some of you will be the first degree holders in your entire village. So no, I don't know, I'm just saying. So you survived all that. So why do you want to drown now? No, Mesha. Senor, take that leadership by the roots and make the best out of it. Let you be remembered, you know, for having done good things in your tenure, you know, in office. If you're holding a political office in your college, you're not going to hold it forever, right? You'll hold it for a year, maybe two, I don't know. But while you're holding it, you will leave that college one time. But let your name be among the ones written palekwa for that placard that so and so was here. Senor, but she was just not here. She left a legacy. And the legacy is 1, 2. And I hope integrity will be one of the legacies that you will leave behind. Guard your name, honey. Guard your name. For a good name can open doors that degrees or money cannot open. A good name can open doors that degrees or money cannot open doors. I consider myself well read. I'm still reading, by the way. But there are doors I have walked in through, not because of my education, and certainly not because of money. I don't have tons of it. But it is because of a good name. It is because someone was able to say, yeah, if you want tafuteni fulani. If you want 1, 2, 3, 4, tafuteni so and so. Now nakuta tu an email just comes, or an SMS just comes from nowhere. Or unakuta tu a phone call just comes that invites you to some spaces where ukiingia kwanza unajichuna, you know, to confirm to yourself that you're not dreaming, that what is happening to you is actually real. I've gone to places in this world that just evil too. I would never even dare, you know, to step in such places. Guard your name as a leader and guard your reputation. I wish you well in your leadership pursuits. And may the good Lord that creates leaders create effective leaders out of each and every one of you. Amen.
Piga makofi mazuri. Makofi ya Simba. Makofi mazito, sio? Si hata yeye ni mzito. Sisemi mwili mzito. Thank you so much, Betty Adera. Someone was asking me pale na Betty Adera anakuanga wapi. She's in Nairobi. She was vying for this president, Nairobi County. She has been in higher offices in the NGO field, in global communities. Before now we get to hear Na najua kwa huko tu. Sijafika huko na count. Sindio? So thank you so much for the good talk. But before she leaves, any question? It's a question and answer session, maybe 2, 3. Any question? Or comment? Or input? Mara ya kwanza? Mara ya pili? Yes, yes, please. Oh, there's one here. Start from there.
Okay, the question is, if you're struggling with making faster decisions.
Yes?
If you're struggling with making faster decisions.
Okay.
While you are in situations that need you to respond immediately.
Okay.
How do you do that without consulting others only? There's no one else who's available at that time to consult, and then it's you who has to make the decision and then bear the consequences at the same time. How do you make these decisions?
Great. She's asking how you respond to making quick decisions, and sometimes you don't have anyone that you can consult immediately. Yes?
Mine is a comment.
Yes.
It has been so resourceful, especially for feminists like me, and empowered village girls.
Tupigie village girl makofi. Nice. Empowered village girls. But I'm very grateful that night amefika hapa. Nikimpata mama, nitaonyesha hizo picha. Mr. Man, I won't ban. Yes.
I have a comment.
Yes.
You have mentioned about integrity and corruption, and I hope my students got that. So we had a very interesting conversation about it in class yesterday.
Yes.
And I just felt like saying amen.
Yeah, Madam Betty has just nailed it. Yes.
Yes.
Lewis, corruption ya mtihani, integrity. Ndio sisemi ni Lewis. Hiyo ndio kiongozi. So thank you so much as well. Any other person so that she can respond to that question that has been asked? Yes.
Maybe an input.
Yes.
I will just maybe at this time, whenever we're going, let's make leaders out of ourselves, because like we leaders already, we should also train others to be trainers. Yeah.
We should train others to be trainers. Great, amazing. Anyone else? Cameraman, you're raising your hand or you're recording with your hand? Share anything?
Okay. My question is, we were told to make a clear picture of where we're going or where we want the people we are leading to be at the place. So my question is, how do you become clear on the place you want to go? Because there will be distractions. So how do you manage these distractions?
How do you see your vision in prayers? Yes. You know, sometimes you pray, you wait for the light on the other side. You don't know how we get there. So how you can understand your vision clearly? See? Kiongozi. Yes. They are those of justice.
Sometimes making decisions will always affect some parties. And it can be the parties that brought you there. How can we disappoint that you bring equilibrium at all levels of the decision?
Equilibrium. Hey, group of schools are here and we are from schools of group. So, you can respond to your question.
Group of schools of groups.
Schools of groups. Lovely.
Village girl. You cannot be more of a village girl than I. My village is called Wotogik Village.
What?
Yes. I grew up in Wotogik Village, Migori County. Wotogik is a Luo word that means the end of the road. Or mwisho wa safari. So if you grew up in an end of the road village or mwisho wa safari village, we need to be clapped for. Senor, a clap for us. Your circumstances should never be your source of limitations. I think that's just all I will say about that. Sawa. And perhaps our next session should be how can we overcome limitations so that we win. Alright? That can be another topic next time. Of course, people come from different backgrounds. There are those who are privileged, there are those who are less privileged, there are those who are strugglers, like I was, a real, struggler. But here am I today, speaking to a bunch of my fellow leaders today. So congratulations, my fellow village girl. She talked about a comment on integrity. Integrity is not always about money. It is about your character, right? Leadership will bring out this character of yours, whether you are a person of integrity or not. And for people to question your integrity, it is not always about questioning ile pesa yenye memea miguu, under your care. It is also how you got where you are. For women, there are so many who use their bodies to get to where they are. And they have to continue doing that, to maintain being where they are. Can you be called to be someone of integrity? Ask yourself and answer yourself that question. There's a question back there about decision making, and I think it ties to the one that the young man has said. Now, so there is no straight answer, and there is no situation that looks like another. Suffice to say, there is no standard formula for how to make a decision, right? But you need to understand a couple of things. As a leader, your duty number one is to take that decision, period. Whether you're going to take it right, you're going to take it wrong, people are going to be happy with it, people are not going to be happy with it, you have to take that decision. Some decisions, depending on what they are, their nature, must be taken quickly. Remember, we don't want the school to burn down, right? But some decisions can be a decision about delaying a decision to buy you time as a leader. Back to emotional intelligence and wisdom, for you to get into the real depth of the issue, for you to make the best decision. In some cases, silence is a decision. In some cases, saying nothing about a situation is a decision. But you need to take it, if that is what you need to do. A rumor has come out that you, as the female student leader, umeonekana na some other male politician, blah, blah, blah. So it's ruining your reputation. Senor, it's all over social media. Even you can see that you're trending, but you're trending for the wrong reason. I'm just giving an example, right? From my head. What do you do as a leader? You need to take a decision. But the decision you take can make this situation worse, or can make the situation just let the fire die down. And in some instances, especially those that are rumor related, the more you talk, the more you even confirm that rumor, whether it was true or not. So sometimes as a leader, it is wisdom. Wacha tu watu waonge, kesho watachoka na watalala na wataamuka, and something else will be up. Remember, that is a decision. But all decisions have consequences. While the fire may have died down, others will question you, will say, so unaona, she couldn't even say anything. What kind of a leader is this? Who doesn't say anything? Had you said anything, there are those who will come, you see? Si tulisema, hii kitu tulijua whichever way you look at it, it will have consequences. There are people who can put you in power, all right? So I've come, I've funded you, given you all the money you need. So now you are the MP or the governor of County X. Senor, expectation is what? You have to deal and return that favor of the people who put you there, right? And sometimes their demands might be going against your own leadership ethics. First and foremost, remember you took a decision to accept that they help you. I was running for Nairobi gubernatorial, by the way, just not too long ago, before it vanished, you know, in the thin air. And just within those 2 weeks, there are tons and tons of big names who came to me wanting to be behind my candidature. There are those, while I don't have money, like, I really need this money, you know, but I told myself, Betty, this is the time you're laying your bed. Remember, time will come when you need to sleep on it, all right? There are some that I just said, thank you very much for your willingness to help me. But I had to turn them down. That was still a decision. So remember, getting yourself into that space where people who put you in power are now bringing you down, you took a decision and you accepted them. So decision making is an ongoing process for any leader. Some decisions are easy to make. Some decisions are not easy to make. If it is a decision you do not have sufficient facts about, find a politically correct way to delay making that decision. But even the decision to decide to delay is also a decision, just a wise one, right? And by time, even 2 hours, even 1 day, in that 1 day, 2 hours, what are you doing? You're consulting. Remember, there are people who have walked that journey ahead of you. There are people who have experienced those things ahead of you. And as a leader, remember one of the attributes we said, as an effective leader, you need to be surrounded by mentors, by good people. People you can always call upon, right? Madam says, umeroka, ni hivi na hivi, ni hivi, nitadu. Sindio? That only takes a minute or two. And she's given you some advice. Some decisions you need to get the facts right before you say it is this way or it is that way. Buy time, but don't buy too much time. Sawa. Consult if situation allows that you consult. If somebody's life is in danger, there is no time even to think. Senor, focus on saving life fast. Hizo vitu zingine, you can deal with them as they come. Sawa. Again, another topic could be now practical examples and skills on how to listen to an issue. There's listening to people, but there's listening to an issue, right? To enable you to take the best possible option of a decision that comes. But remember, as a leader, there is no decision that you will make that 100% of the people will be happy with. Remember, you are not put on that chair by 100% of the people, right? Did everybody in Kenya vote for President Uhuru? No. He just got the majority. And by law, by our constitution, he is the president. He speaks things every single day by virtue of being head of state. There are some things, akisema, half the country wanashangilia. Another half the country are not. But he has said, he has taken a decision because it is his job to do that. He has to decide on who is in his cabinet, for example. Senor, a very delicate balance to make for a country like Kenya. Senor. So he will make it. There are people who will be happy. There are people who will say, oh, hey, you know. But he has considered it and he has taken it. But bottom line in decision making is this. Ask yourself before you take that decision, are the positives higher than the negatives of this decision I will make? Put it on some mental weighing scale. So if the positives will be more, and if it's about the good for the country, the good for the people, good for majority of the people, does it align with what you said you will do in your own vision? Take it and bite the bullet. Right? There's a question there on what now? The last one. What was it about? Remind me. Oh, vision. Now, vision is something that you can have 100 visions by the time you reach 50, like In your teenage years, you have a vision there. Eh? Unapita that age, now you become your 20s. You've just graduated. You're like, no, that other vision doesn't. You change your vision. Nothing wrong with changing a vision. Only that the ultimate goal, you need to be clear where you want to go, right? The pathways of getting there can keep changing. You can keep revising that based on your ever-changing circumstances, senor. But that vision, you need to actually hold it. Always ask yourself, what do you want to be when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 80, all right? Not in terms of the title, like I want to be a doctor. No. But in terms of the disposition. I want to be in an opportunity, I want to be in a space where it's up to me to make decisions for children's education. That's a vision, right? So whether you will end up being a teacher, a lecturer, an instructor, minister for education, you know, all these things, doesn't matter. Those are just pathways to get you to that vision of the kind of disposition. I'm trying to move away from titles, guys, and we all need to. Leadership is not about I am the. Leadership is about the so what of you being the. All right? Being a doctor, being an engineer, my personal view is neither here nor there. What you do with that you're being what is what, to me, the issue really is. You can find a shoemaker who is impacting lives. Impacting lives. Fixing shoes for people who don't have legs. Impacting lives. Bigger, in bigger, greater ways than that other title that someone thinks is big. I have a driver who is my prayer partner. A chauffeur who prays for me. Right? When I'm too frail and too tired and too bogged down to even say, Lord Jesus, the individual says, you know what? You rest. You sleep. I'm going to do the praying for you. That's a chauffeur we're talking about. Are you seeing what I mean? So what is the person doing with the disposition of being chauffeur? Covering people with prayers. And it's not only me, the individual prays for 1,000 other people who sometimes you're too tired just by the nature of what you do. Or too distracted, if you like. So to pray for yourself. Because distraction will come. That moment where you can't even remember what your name is will come. And it is coming if you are a leader. But who is this person you have around you? Who can hold you and catch you before people even know that you actually fell? You see my point? So for me, that's sort of like where my thing really sits. So you need to think about, and take time. You don't need to make that vision in a hurry, you know. Because remember, we're not only looking at the vision of you for 1 year being the student body president. You know, to me that's 1 year that should lead to something. What is that? What is it? What is that it should lead to? All right? I was in the Miss President reality show. 2019, I think. 2019, yeah. 2018, 2019. To me, that was never the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal to me was, what will being in this show do to me? How can I use that opportunity to be in this show, to build networks that I would never have built if I never joined a show like this? So that's the kind of rewiring in terms of leadership that we need to have. So that way, you're clear on your overall vision, and it's okay to keep changing it, to keep editing it, to keep revising it, you know, to reflect your ever-changing circumstances. The pathways to it can always change. There's nothing that is cast on stone, right? Yeah. I am found on Facebook, Betty Adera. LinkedIn, Betty Adera. Whichever one. Twitter, @Adera Betty. So if you play with Betty Adera, you'll find me at Adera Betty. The other way around, you'll also find me. Please follow me. I have a YouTube channel where every week I release like a 3-minute video, not too long, just giving leadership tips for young women leaders. All right. So my YouTube channel is just Betty Adera. Me, I'm not complicated. Betty Adera, you get me everywhere, right? So I think it's a good space to get in. And those leadership tips, while I say it, so I tweak it for young women, it's for everyone. You know, how to build your brand. Even as a male leader, you need to know how to build your brand, you know, as a leader. So I want to believe it's one of my little ways of, you know, doing like this, giving out what God, you know, gave me, and hope that it can be light. It can enlighten someone else. So please follow me and let's engage. You can get my phone number, but I'm normally easily available between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. That's it. After that, I am back to being my personal me, being a mother, being a cook in my house, cleaning around and just doing all these things. But again, like I said, may God bless you.
They have removed forms. They have removed forms for the number.
let me start. 0720 567590. The best way, actually send me an SMS and just remind me we met here.